Okay. I see it now. That makes it so much easier.
We're gonna chill out and we're gonna wait till a couple of people come on, and then we'll start having our conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can say hello to everybody if you like.
Hello, everyone.
You can wave, introduce yourself. I'll get my
Hello. I'm his son. Oh, hi, Auntie Jasmine. What's up? How many people we got?
G, what up?
Who's G? Just asking.
My brother from work. He's a good guy.
Hello, G.
All right. Well, my son had asked me if we can do a live talking about some of the issues that have been going on this week. My son is 11 years old. As you can see, his name is Alexander also. And it was bothering him. So he wanted to have a conversation about it, but he wanted to do a live. So he sees me doing lives all the time. So he asked if we could do a live and talk about something that was heavy on his mind. I kind of haven't talked about it. I haven't really sat down and really discussed it with him. I kind of been going to work through the course of the week, so my hours are a little funny. As you can see, my eyes, I'm always tired. But wifey just came through with the big boy, so we'll get through it. But I just want to be able to support my son and identify that this affects them also, right? I mean, we consider how these things affect us as adults, and we almost forget that they're paying attention to, and how it actually affects their lives. Obviously, I wasn't born throughout the civil rights movement. I wasn't present to bear witness to those events in history. So I don't have a perspective from that aspect. I was young when Yusef Hawkins happened in Brooklyn, New York, when he was murdered. Obviously, I was around for Abner Louima in New York, Amadou Diallo in New York. So there's been certain courses of history that I've been present for. As a young man, it affected me and it guided me towards a certain path, and how I navigated through that made up portion of the man. So in identifying those things, I think it's important to actually be able to have this conversation with my son, who's identifying these things from his own perspectives. And I think it's important that his voice is heard and respected as well. Obviously, he wants to do it on this forum, so we'll allow him to bang on his chest and speak how he sees fit. But Al, just talk whenever you see fit. So why did you want to do this?
Well, I was inspired to do this because not just because my dad does lives once a week or every other week, but also I wanted to express my feelings and just knock a little bit of sense in people's heads to know what's going on, because some people are very busy. Some people don't get a chance to watch the news often, so we're here to um we're here to give you guys some of the information that we get. All the information we get, we try to spread it like my
So, so there's information and then there's perspective, right? And then there's insight. So, based on the information you've received or based on the things that you've watched over the course of the past few days, what does it mean to you? What have you seen, first of all? Because I don't even know to what point or to how you're interpreting this. So, what have you seen? What transpired that made you feel the need to talk about it?
Well, what was crazy was that one of the most things that bothered me is somebody came, one of the Trump supporters came and broke into Nancy Pelosi's office. That bothered me.
Why did it bother you?
Because not on a regular, it's a crime to break into something to go into a facility without permission. Like, if my father didn't know me, like, just pretend I'm a random guy and I don't know my father, and I decide to take a broom and smash the window open, obviously you feel offended. You wouldn't want me to in your house without invitation. So the fact that they got away with that was tremendously bothering and upsetting. But also the way the way that he led it in a way, but President Donald Trump. Yes, so true. President Trump incited this mob. He gave a speech a couple of hours before the mob wasn't in effect.
And you think that played a role in the people going down there?
Yes.
Why?
Because your supporters always try to support you, you know? They always want you to be able to, if you tell somebody something and they strongly support you and believe everything you say, they will want to do what you say. It's kind of like my father telling me to go wash my plate. Obviously, I'm going to do it, unless I'm a naughty person, naughty kid. So it's basically the same concept.
Very, very, very good point, and that's a great analogy. So he incited them, and because they wanted to support him and wanted him to succeed in whatever he was instructing them to do, they went in turn and carried that out.
Yes, and had over 6 to 7 hours of pure chaos. Storming. You have the National Guard. You have the FBI. You have every police academy that you can think of defending Capitol Hill. Now, my question is,
yes,
where's security? Where's security?
Security for who?
Security for Capitol Hill. That's one of the most important places in this country, and you have security everywhere else. You have security in Macy's, other department stores, but you do not have security in a place that's way more important than shopping.
Wow, that's very impressive that at 11 years old you can identify that. And also, whoever's watching this, if you want to share this out, please share it. Please share this live out, so that we can have this conversation with multiple people. In the event certain family members are not aware this is live right now, just share it out so we can have this conversation. Maybe this sparks a conversation that you can have with your own kids. I think there are so many questions, and obviously none of the answers will be had at this moment. But part of this dialogue is to just create a conduit for my son to be able to express himself, considering the fact that where he expresses himself currently now, without school being open, but with everyone remote learning, with due to the pandemic, us kind of being isolated, you don't get the same community that you normally would have to be able to express these things. Whereas if he was in the schoolyard, or if he was on the basketball court or the football field, and he was talking with his teammates and they were around each other and they're just going through the course of their day, a lot of these things can be expressed. But when you're sitting in the house and the computer is giving you the world, it can become very complicated to navigate that. And as a parent, not being present throughout the course of the day as I leave the house and go to work, and then I might miss a moment to actually have this conversation. So I wanted to give him the opportunity to have this conversation with me, and maybe it can reflect somewhere else. For sure. Now, we are aware that somebody passed away as well, correct, Alex?
Yes.
So someone was shot?
Yes, and killed. There was lots of people injured. Now, personally, I think that he should go to jail for murder.
Who's he?
Donald Trump.
Why?
Because if you are the president and you lead to a death or injuries, that's a big crime. I don't care if you're president or not. You should still.
So let me ask you a question. So you think he's more responsible than the person who actually broke into the Capitol?
You have a point.
It's a question, not a point. The point you have to establish. I just asked the question. In your opinion, do you think that he's more responsible than the person who actually went through the door?
That's true. She shouldn't have stormed into the building and interfered with the way of politics, the way America runs.
Good point. So now it's unfortunate that she lost her life, right? But I mean, that's kind of like saying if your friend told you to do something, like steal from a store, and you stole from the store, can you blame your friend, or would you get blamed?
I will get blamed because I performed the action.
Okay, so if you perform the action, then you're accountable for your own actions, correct?
Yes.
So there were 200,000 people there allegedly at the Capitol yesterday or Wednesday, and those people are all held accountable for their own actions, yes?
Yes. So everything that happened to them, anything that happened to them, they got injured or whatever, you do not have the right, not really rights, but I think it's the law that you are not supposed to be out after curfew. And they decided to keep on marching after the 6 p.m. curfew.
Well, let me ask you another question. Why do you think those people were all there in the first place?
Because of the president. Because they wanted to prove their point. And
what is their point, Alex?
Their point is that they want President Trump. No, they thought that the election was stolen by Biden. Biden stole the election, and it was rigged, and
All right, so let's start with that, right? Let me ask you a question. On election day, we all went out and voted, right?
yes, we did.
And you got your sticker, right? You went with mom and you voted with grandma and Yeye and Ari.
I didn't vote with them because they went off to vote while I was still in class.
Got you.
But once they came home, they told me everything that happened in the
Right. So let me ask you a question. We all got up and voted, right?
yeah.
And we made it our point to vote. Do you think that we lied or that was a fake action, or did we legitimately go and vote for whoever we wanted to be president?
Well, we didn't legitimately vote. We did all vote, but not all of us physically voted. Some of us mailed our ballots, which was some of the Biden supporters did, and that's why they thought that President Trump was winning the election.
Okay, so that's a good observation, right? That is a good point. There seems to be some contention about whether or not those ballots, the ones that came in the mail, were valid, right? They feel that that's where the conspiracy or the corruption took place, not with the ones that were done in person. Good perspective on that. That is very important because that's where the condemnation is being established. Now, let me ask you a question. Could all the people who have an issue with the ones being mailed, could they have mailed theirs also?
Yes, they could.
Okay. They chose not to.
Yes.
That was a choice, correct?
Yes, they chose to walk into the schools, take a ballot, write your vote down, and put it in the machine, and it goes directly to them.
Right. So
that's what Biden was trying to do, is get people to mail their ballots to try to embarrass Trump.
Now, do you think? Let me ask you a question. Do you think there's a possibility that there could be some cheating involved?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
Now,
not everyone's perfect.
Right.
Biden might have a little bit of cheats or whatever, but still, even if he did not cheat, he still would have been Trump. He lost by over 3 million votes. Actually, guys, let me get that exact number.
Well, you know, the one thing I want to focus on with you, right, is there are other things that actually led to this point, right? Donald Trump was elected well before this incident happened, and throughout the course of his presidency, there have been several instances or several events that have radicalized many of his members or his supporters, in my belief. I believe, as an American, my voice should be heard. I hate censorship. And what I mean by that is I hate for anyone's voice to be muted. I hate that Facebook blocks out things that Donald Trump says. I hate that Facebook blocks out things that are done. I hate the fact that Facebook closed Farrakhan's account. I don't like censorship. I think it's un-American. I think that if you have a sect of society who are so vulnerable that they're able to be misled, then we also have to have a society, if we're going to preach that we are a society of law and order, that has to have consequences for those actions. As we know, there has always been consequences for people who look like us. And those consequences have always been established, whether be it right or wrong. Me and you, come from a family that has everyone in it. We have white, black, Hispanic, Indian, Native American, culturally, West Indian, American, and alternate. So we understand the importance of community, and we understand the importance of acceptance, and we understand the importance of consideration and kindness. So in our home, we look at things a certain way. A lot of the world don't. A lot of the world don't have the access that we do to be as open-minded and considerate and not to judge people based on our own ideas, right? However I feel, I don't expect you to feel based on the same circumstance. So whenever me and you speak, it is very important for me to hear your perspective, because I don't want to assume that just because I feel a certain way about something, that you feel the same way, or that however you feel is not as important. So when we think about those people who ran into the Capitol, do you think they were angry? They seemed angry, no?
Yeah. The way that they broke that window, because if you watched the news, you would have saw on their faces when they did break open the window. But my question is, how do you have photographic evidence, but you weren't able to stop the action?
Well,
they broke into the building.
Those questions are going to have to be answered. You want my belief about why it happened? I believe they were empowered and they were allowed to do it. I believe that there was something bigger attempted there, and that is what they call a coup. Okay? And a coup is an attempt to overthrow the government. And how were they intending to overthrow the government? My belief is that there was a plan that they were going to coordinate this attack on the Capitol. And while Congress was in session, confirming the Electoral College votes, they were going to run inside, grab the box of those votes, and destroy them. And if they were able to get those boxes or those electoral votes and destroy them, if one of them would have just been destroyed, if 10 of them would have been destroyed, they would have then had to then go back to the states and either have them re-elect, recertify, or it would have went to the Supreme Court. They would have tried to rewrite the narrative. So that is my belief. Could I be wrong? Of course. But that act that you witnessed, in my opinion, as your father, was not something that was a random act of protesters gone wild. That was a coordinated attempt to circumvent our democracy. That was a coup. That was an attempt to stop the process and redirect it to a more favorable outcome for people who don't want to accept the outcome. Do you think that that's a reasonable assertion, or you believe something else?
That is a good point. Hi, Uncle Timmy. Hi, Mom.
So we're not gonna be on here but for so long. I do want to ask you one question, and this is just about who you are as a person. What do you think about black and white people's relationships in America?
Well, it depends if you're a racist or not. If you are a equally treated person and you treat other people with respect, I would say a white person would just treat other people with respect, like they would want to be treated, like the old saying, probably back from 1762 or 362 BCE, something like that. Treat others the way that you would like to be treated.
What if you don't know how you like to be treated? Then how would you know how to treat other people? What if your whole life you were treated bad? Then all you would know is how to treat people bad. What if no one ever showed you an act of kindness? How would you know to give someone kindness? Is that something that's natural, or you actually have to be taught it?
Well, it's either something that you have to be taught or have to observe it.
Okay, so what does it mean to be a racist, though?
Well, I don't know the exact definition, but to my belief, racism is something that some people get treated unfairly because of an ability or hi Auntie Sharon. Something that's like for us black people, it's our skin. But for some other people, it might be the way that their ears are. It might be the funny way that they have their arms. It might be that they have like more toes or fingers than a normal human would.
So that would be discrimination, right? That would be identifying a physical characteristic or judging or treating someone improperly because of something that
they have that makes it unique.
Right. So that's discrimination, right? Now, discrimination and racism, two different things, but they tie in the same, right? Because you can discriminate against somebody because of their race, right? So in other words, you can tell somebody they can't shop here because of their race. So you use the identification of their color to discriminate against their opportunities of a free society. You understand how that works? Right? So because of the way you look, they tell you you cannot. Or because of what's wrong with them, then they assume that they can then judge you. Right? So when we talk about race, there is a history of race and how those two connect. So at any point in your life, do you feel like someone is being racist to you? I mean, you're 11 years old, right? So have you ever felt like someone was being racist towards you? Or would you even know if someone was being racist towards you?
Probably not, because I have never witnessed racism before and that to that extent. But there's times in my life that I have been disrespected and I wanted to express it to my family, express it to an adult, somebody who I trust, and whoever that person was, God bless them, and they helped me get up to the point where I am now.
Right. So you're talking about someone who might have disrespected you before?
Maybe. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember because it might have been a couple years ago. I don't. Right. My memory is not that good, but life goes slowly. Enjoy
it. So now when we talk about disrespect, right? We understand that some people, their first mode of communication is disrespect because they're not happy with themselves, right? So they try to take that out on other people, especially kids, because children don't have the capacity to actually understand what they've been taught might be wrong. So they have to go through life and work out those things. So when they're younger, it's very difficult for an 8-year-old or a 7-year-old to know that whatever they might be being taught in their home could be wrong. So they carry that. So if they're getting bad information, it's like entering a bad code into the computer. You're going to get an error message. Some kids walk around with error messages and have no idea that they are flawed. Now, we are all flawed as humans, but then there's intentional flaws. There are flaws that have been programmed in their hard drive, in their minds, that make them believe that what they're doing is correct. Now, it's for you, and I respect the fact that you've identified that the issue wasn't about you. It was more about them, and that you have to move forward. But you should never accept disrespect as something that's normal, right?
It's offensive, and it should never be in effect. You should, yeah, you might not like me or whatever because of, you might think I'm annoying. Now, I'm not going to tell you, oh, I'm not annoying, but I respect your decision that you think that I'm annoying. And if you think I'm annoying, then just stay away from me. Don't don't spread your negativity.
Right.
You know, your job as a human is to try to spread positivity, not make the world hate on each other. Because as you could see on Wednesday, nobody was working together, and we are the United States. Okay, we're just called the United States. Are we united though? We're not. Obviously, we're not united because we're not working together.
Right. Well, that's a great part, right? So from the inception of this country, from the point when this country was created and established, we have not been united.
We've always been turning our backs on each other. Always like, hey, I'm going to give you $5 so you could buy a, I don't know, drink from Starbucks. But I turn my back and give the $5 to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that person does not starts believing that I'm going to give you that $5 so you can buy your Starbucks drink. But if you're going to tell me something and not do it, number one, that's a waste of your breath. Number two, that's disrespectful.
Al, give me 2 seconds. I got to get my charger.
All right. Hello, Facebook. What's up? Now, before my father comes back, I just wanted to say something with the coronavirus vaccine. My classmates has a strong opinion on it, but I'm gonna get more into that when my father comes back. Hi, Didi. Hi, Mom. Hi, I am Kemp too. Hi, Auntie Sharon. Hi, Grandma. Thank you. The thing about me is when I start having a point, I like to express it.
What up, son? I'm back. You got me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The where we left off, we were talking about the standard of America and the United States. So, do you consider yourself an American?
No, I'm 100% not American. I'm just American by birth. But my
So we
actual blood, I'm Puerto Rican, I'm West Indian, I'm Panamanian, I'm all these different. I have all these different cultures that makes me me. But nobody in this country is American by blood, only by birth.
So wouldn't that make you an American? Wait, hold on. So wait. So by being born in America, doesn't that make you American?
Kind of, but by blood, I'm not American.
So what does that mean by blood? Your heritage, your legacy, your lineage, your DNA?
Yes,
Yeah.
but
So your DNA is African, right?
African,
Right.
Panamanian, Puerto Rican. Did I say Panamanian already?
You did. You want to add? You want to add Jamaican?
Yes, Jamaican. Jamaican.
Yes.
4.
Oh boy, your mother's gonna be mad at you. You put Jamaican last. That's it. You're in trouble now. You're not getting no birthday presents.
So,
All right. So, right. So, when we talk about this, and this is like a discussion that goes on amongst Black people as a whole, right? I mean, we'll isolate it to Black people in America because this is a unique portion of that, right? Because all the 4 things you just mentioned, let's say you said you are African American, you are Jamaican, you're Panamanian, you're Puerto Rican, right? So if you went to Puerto Rico and you said, well, my bloodline leads to here. If you followed your bloodline back, so we'll use it, you said 4, right? So there's 4 lines, right? And let's use the fist as you. There's 4 lines. If you followed each one of these 4 lines back, that's you say that's your bloodline, right? So if you say you go here, you go here, you go here, they all lead back to the fist, right? The fingers are an extension of the fist. So if you're telling me that your blood is not American, then your fist has to be something else because your fingers all come from somewhere else, but you ended up here. So you are an American, and to be an American means you can be all of those things. It's not unique in that sense that an Irish, an Italian, an African, a Trinidadian, someone from Poland, someone from Russia, all can be American.
So your point leads also to Yeye because she migrated here. She migrated here from America, from Jamaica to America when she was at a very young age. But now that she has learned the ways of America, she has learned the ways that things work in America. She, to your extent, she is an American.
I think it's important to identify there's a difference. We can make a distinction, in my opinion, between what you are and who you are. Do you understand the difference? What you are and who you are 2 different things. In other words, what you are is a human being. Who you are is determined by what type of human being you would like to be.
The veterinarian / governor.
Right? So, in other words, if you wanted to theorize based on your DNA to the most beginning point, you would just be African. Because every one of those places you mentioned, in order to get there, they would have had to have come from Africa.
Because that's where the journey began.
There you go. But we understand that in the process of that journey, there's been layers added to your journey, which reestablish who you are. So although what you are might be one specific thing, but who you are is based on what you intend to become. Your camera kicked off, Al, right? So you want to become a doctor. You weren't born a doctor.
I have to work to it.
Well, whatever. But you were born my son, correct? You were born a newborn baby. And from that newborn baby, what you are is my child. Who you are will be defined by you. So when I say you are an American, that means that you have a responsibility to your place of residence to make wherever or whatever you are placed in to make it better. That is your responsibility as a human being. In my opinion, it is your responsibility as a human being to make the planet a better place, regardless of where you're standing on that planet. I don't care where you stand. You have a responsibility to make wherever your feet are touching when you walk away from that environment for it to be better off, not worse. People throughout history, everything they have touched, they have destroyed. That is not being a progressive human being. That is counterproductive to humanity. As human beings, you have a responsibility to make the world, the place that you inhabit, a better place, not worse. It is not for you to see a tree and think about how can I burn it. You should look at the tree and say, how can I take the seeds and plant another one? The idea is to make the world and everyone around you better, not worse. So if we identify the circumstances that happened on Wednesday, do you think anyone in that environment was intended to make the world a better place, or were they trying to make it better for themselves? Were they thinking about the people inside of the Capitol and how it would affect their lives? Were they thinking about you and what you were watching and how would it affect your life? No, they were thinking about themselves. That is not humane. That is not humanity. That is not peace. That is not love. That is not consideration. That is not kindness. That is self-gratification. That is thinking about what's important to you first and not caring about the consequences and how it affects somebody else. So now there are 4 people dead. 5. And no resolution. The same outcome would have been the same whether they went there or they didn't. Period. There's an old saying, choose your battles wisely. Right? So as my son, it would be a bad idea for you to choose a battle that you know you're wrong. Right? If I know you didn't go to sleep till a certain time and you were playing Xbox and you didn't do your homework.
You just had to use the example. But
yes, I did. You see how I snuck that in there, didn't you? Because I'm sure there's something you did not do. But we'll talk about that when we get off the live, homeboy. All right. But that's correct. They were not using consequential thinking. And as males, okay, as men, my only purpose in my life is to make sure you're safe. When I wake up in the morning and I go to sleep, my only concern at this point in my life is to make sure that you and your sister have an opportunity to thrive. And when I see things like I witnessed the other day, it makes me question whether or not I have the ability to do that, considering the fact that we don't live in the world alone. And although I might be able to protect you in this small environment, there will be a point when you go out into the world and you'll be forced to deal with things that I can't protect you from. So I find it my burden to make the world better. So at least when you go out to the world, I might have made the spaces I can't protect you from more fruitful for you to be able to thrive in. There will be a point when you'll have to do things for yourself. And I would hope that from these type of conversations, which I already understand as your father, that you'll be better equipped to know where you should be and where you shouldn't be on the side of history.
Because you're my father and you taught me a lot. And one thing, sorry to stop you from your little thing, but there's one thing that I wanted to talk about with the this coronavirus vaccine. Something that's been a big conflict, not really a conflict, but something that was a little stint in my classes with this vaccine.
Okay.
Now, I still respect the decision. I still respect what their belief, but this vaccine was created in a short amount of time. It was created in 3 months. 3 months, you can create a vaccine that has infected over 20 million people. You have created something in a short amount of time that you believe that can solve a problem in such a short amount of time. Now,
go ahead. I'm listening. I don't want to stop you.
So now you create something in such a short amount of time. There is no evidence that this thing will work. There is no evidence that this vaccine is effective. There's no evidence for anything. The only proof we have is that the vaccine was made in 3 months. It was exposed. They're trying to. Dad, I know you said this when we were going upstate once, but I'm just going to repeat what you said. The only reason why people are so desperate to take this vaccine is because they are scared of this virus and want to get rid of it as soon as possible.
Well, I'm glad you were paying attention because sometimes, who knows? But I'm glad you paid attention. But yes, my fear is that because of fear, people will jump into anything and allow themselves to be guinea pigs because we know what the consequences of COVID are, right? I mean, you watch Daddy be sick, right?
Yeah, I couldn't see your face for 3 months.
Right. And if I believed that taking the vaccine would allow me to see you quicker in those 3 months or go around my mother or my loved ones sooner,
it's still gonna take the same amount of time.
Right.
So
let's talk about it. So there's something called risk versus reward, right? Risk versus reward, right? Risk, calculated risk versus reward. So what do they use as a barometer to establish that? Well, let's discuss it. One, we look at how many people have died, right? So the argument becomes if the risk supersedes the reward, right? In other words, if by people taking the vaccine, we already know COVID is going to kill a certain amount of people, do you chance taking something that is unproven in the hopes that you can stop that amount of people from dying? So if I told you right now, Alex, 100 people are going to die tomorrow. If 50 of those people took this vaccine, only 30 people are going to die. Would that be okay for you?
Yes and no.
Okay, give me the yes first.
So yes, because not everything works for everyone. There's still people that's taking the vaccine and getting allergic reactions to it. Now, any allergic reaction can kill you.
Let me ask you a question. Can you get hit by a car crossing the street?
Yes, I can.
So should you always stay on one side of the street or never cross the street?
No, I should be cautious of my environment. And you see this? You see this right here?
Yes, I see it. I paid for it.
Oh, God. This is sacrificing so many people's lives when in the car driving or crossing a street. The best place for this is in your pocket.
You should be a civilian safety officer. You're like the feds for people crossing the street. But yes, I get it.
This device.
I understand. But don't go left. Don't go left. Stay on the point. I'm with you. You have concerns about the vaccine. I have concerns about the vaccine. At my job, they just released today that they reclassified us again and now said that we're essential workers, and now that we'll be on the next wave of people they want to take the vaccine.
You don't need it. You got thousands of antibodies in your body. Don't worry about. Yeah, you don't need it. Because that's what the vaccine's job is. If it works,
right? So
if it works, its job is to create antibodies into your body and attach onto the protein cells, send their immune response to your immune cells, and your immune cells will kick it. Well, not kick it, kill it. Destroy it.
Right. Well, I'm glad you did your research. So no, Daddy will not be taking the vaccine. And nor will you guys, right? As your father, at this juncture, if the decision was that I would have to send you back to school and you take the vaccine, I would homeschool you up until I knew for sure that we at least had a year of data showing what the outcomes are those. You also have to remember, as a diabetic, I take medication. There's been no real studies on what the
Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine.
Well, right, and what the interactions with the medications I take would actually affect how my diabetes medication works. So there's also a whole bunch of unknowns, right? And anything that's unknown, as we know, until it can be established, can be harmful. And we don't know how it affects individual cells. We don't know if, for some reason, if there's something you might not be aware of, but if you look at certain blood tests, when they do blood tests and they do a barometer or a scale on whether or not something is high or low, there are different scales for different DNAs. So in other words, black people have a certain scale or a module that they use to determine whether or not you are in range or out of range on certain sicknesses and illnesses, or certain results are relative to your DNA. We don't know for sure, to your point, that within 3 or 4 months of establishing this vaccine, whether or not it will have some real relative long-term effects. And I think just that fact alone is, to your point, reasonable enough to not just jump into something and take it without real data showing why or how positive it can be long term. Again, because if it's effective for 3 months or 6 months, and then next year it's another one, well, what in turn are we then taking, and what is the result? But we're not going to keep the people too long. I'm glad we were able to do this. I love you.
Thank you for all your support in the comments. We really appreciate it.
The only vaccine I need in my life is for you and your sister to be happy, and that is enough medicine for me, for sure. And I've told you since you were born that I believe you're going to change the world. I believe there's something unique in your spirit, that you have an amazing, loving heart and a brilliant mind. And I think that combination is what the world actually needs. So anything I can do to support you and help you reach your own mountaintop, I will be present for every part of that journey. And I love you to death, son. Let's kick off. Say goodbye to the people. Every one of y'all watching this live has my phone number. If you want to talk to me, call me. Don't call me too early, because that's when I come home from work. You see my eyes. My son made me do the live. I ain't getting no rest today. I'm drinking coffee. Now I'm up.
Stop flexing. Stop flexing. Flexing gets karma.
Yeah,
all right?
Yeah.
So one more thing.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to call me, my phone number.
Do not give your phone number out on no Facebook Live, boy. All right? I said you were very intelligent. Don't be internet foolish, all right? Don't get caught up in the grave. See, you get hyped. You start thinking you're a star. Next thing you want to start throwing your phone number out on the internet. All right? Yo, I'll rap with y'all. Y'all take care of yourselves. Be safe. We love you. Peace.
Peace, guys.